The Anyday.com podcasts. Energy. It's a great story. Gas as a bridge. A fossil fuel for a greener world. From the article by Robin Wiley on Anyday.com.
The streets, the walls, the artists can just go and perform in the cafes or in the streets, and they express themselves and talk to the people directly. For contemporary art, well, we are doing the artwork for the sake of the artwork. We just have a message, we want to say it, we want to communicate with the people.
The strength of a people is seen when times are hardest. Face them with adversity and I'll tell you what they're made of. Would you believe that these words come from an Egyptian artist? Notwithstanding the hard times, there is a great need to experience the growth of a continually moving people through art. From the words of the photographer and sculptor Moatez Nasri, spoken during the What Can Contemporary Art Do convention, we can understand how in Egypt, his country of origin, artists have helped the rest of society face the recent eventful years the state has been going through. Egypt is not just the cradle of civilization, the land of pharaohs and sphinxes, of Cleopatra.
Siren of the Nile. Her stunning beauty and notorious intrigue turned the tide of civilization.
Above all, it is a state that is undergoing a series of major transformations that are having a profound impact on its identity and on the hunger for progress of many of its inhabitants. At Cairo, there is a great desire to face the future head-on and know what it has in store for them. It's as if they were infected by a contagious energy that involves many fronts, including technological innovation, an aspect that has always been present in the history of Egypt. Oh yes, perhaps not everybody knows this, but among the many experimental inventions of the ancient Egyptians, like the plough and even makeup, there is also the toothbrush. An antilitterum wooden stick with bristles, designed to counteract a phenomenon that had always caused problems for first-century Egyptians and the rest of the world: bad breath. Okay, very important, but Egypt's involvement with innovation does not come down to just the toothbrush. In Egypt, we have the strength of a visionary like Moatez Nasri's art, the passion for discovery behind inventions like the toothbrush, and above all, interest in developing new technologies to serve man. Okay, this isn't the matter we're going to discuss in this episode, but just think that researchers at the University of Alexandria have recently developed a desalination technology that renders seawater drinkable: perforation. The water is first filtered through a powdered cellulose acetate membrane to remove the larger particles. Seems complicated, doesn't it? Well, let's see. We'll try with a simple example.
Our research actually indicated that if you transport Nile water for a distance of more than 100 kilometers, then desalination is more feasible economically.
In 2011, it found support from one of the country's leading water management experts, Dia Eldin Ahmed El Quozi. Well, that name's a mouthful. Furthermore, turning to desalination saves electrical energy. This consideration takes us straight to the heart of this episode: the fascination of Egypt with technology that, combined with renewables, inspires forms of alternative and sustainable energy. To better understand, let's move from the banks of the Nile further south, 100 miles from Cairo. In this area, the country has taken one of the most important steps in the utilization of renewables as an alternative to traditional energy sources that generate heavy emissions of CO2. We're in the middle of the desert. Here at night you swim in an ocean of silence. It is the religion of the Sahara. You can't do much unless you're an implacable Bedouin or Peter O'Toole in Lawrence of Arabia. Try closing your eyes, walking without a destination, while sand and dust are blowing all around you. The sun hides behind the horizon among the dunes. It's low, but still blinding on your closed eyelids, and you continue to walk and walk until... Ayya! You bash into a giant metal cylinder. These Egyptians are always surprising you. In the middle of the Sahara, you can find a power station. The Kuriamat power station stands out in all its majesty. Electric blue panels, tall metal cylinders. Would you have ever said that you're in the heart of the Sahara? It's not a power station like all the others. Kuriamat is an ISCC plant. which stands for Integrated Solar Combined Cycle.
ISCC plants are combined cycle plants fed by natural gas.
Angela D'Angelo and Alessandra Ferrara graduated in energy engineering at Milan Polytechnic with a thesis dedicated to these power stations.
ISCC plants are a good way of integrating renewable sources within technologies that are already tested and reliable. As a consequence, they can be a good bridge between still widely used fossil fuel technologies and renewable ones that
At Kuriamat, natural gas combined with energy from the sun generates electricity. In fact, in addition to the 2 turbo-gas plants, there is also a solar field, 160 parabola-shaped collectors with a surface area of 130,000 square meters. More than 2,400 kilowatt-hours of irradiation captured from the Sahara's light, thanks to the collectors, are hurled into absorbent tubes containing heat transfer fluid. Overheated to more than 300 degrees, the fluid generates vapor capable of operating a turbine that in turn converts the solar field's thermal energy into electrical energy. The energy produced at Kuriamat is not insignificant. Just think, over the entire course of the day, it can illuminate an impressive 500,000 homes, and it is capable of a major reduction in CO2 emissions, saving between 9 and 15,000 tons a year. The contribution of solar energy is fundamental for this type of process, but we would make a mistake to underestimate the importance of the other major player in today's story, natural gas, which someday will help us envision a greener world. Wait a minute, just a thought. Gas is a fossil fuel. How can it be green? Yet there is an answer. Natural gas produced from the anaerobic decomposition of organic material is a cocktail of gaseous hydrocarbons that has as its main components methane, and also some ethane, propane, butane, and pentane. Among all the fossil fuels, natural gas is the one with the least traces of carbon in its composition. With respect to carbon, the main fuel for the generation of electrical energy produces half the CO2 emissions. Natural gas is the ideal bridge between energy of the past and the energy of tomorrow. A reduction of carbon emissions would, in fact, allow renewable energies to grow and develop. Kuriamat is an example of this, but there are numerous hybrid plants all over the world using natural gas as a strategic pawn in obtaining clean energy. And in Egypt, where our journey began, the positive force to increase the renewables field is making itself heard. Even Eni has decided to implement a series of projects in this sector following agreement with the country's authorities. The first is a photovoltaic plant with a 50-megawatt peak in the Sinai within the Abu Ridais facilities. A low-carbon emission future is not so far away. And while we dream of a greener future for Egypt, and by that we mean the rest of the world, in front of the Kuriamat, the desert implacably stands out. The Sahara has seen a lot over a fair time that numbers millions and millions of years. Wars, famines, and swarms of populations gravitating between its red-hot dunes like the flames of a volcano. Today, facing that plant, it witnesses another important change, that which sees the revaluation of a fossil fuel that, who knows, could help us to live better. Now close your eyes again and continue your immersion into the silence of the desert. And should you bash into a metal cylinder, well, just think that to your help could come running a Tuareg to tend the bump on your head. Hear them? It's them singing. The marvelous journey of Eni in the world of energy carries on until we see you next time. Because energy, even that of natural gas, is a great story.
You've been listening to Anyday.com's podcast. Energy is a great story. Written by Giuseppe Patino-Radusa. Music by New Horizon Project. Produced and adapted for radio by Cast 4. Download the complete collection from the site anyday.com.